Because of how volatile the polls are, there are as many as 20 seats that could be considered marginal. Earlier this week I went to another of those seats, Tamworth. It's a battle to the death. Well, not quite. These men are just actors. I drafted them in for effect. But the politicians in the battleground outside this castle are fighting for the most coveted of prizes, a key marginal.
It's difficult to see a difference between the two parties, the two main parties, if I'm honest, in terms of, and a lot of it's not very clear with education at the moment in terms of what they're saying going forward. So it's quite hard to decide what to do.
Immigration for a start, education, the normal things really. But whether I believe any of them, I don't know.
It's a tough crowd, and the way people here in Tamworth voted last time reflects that. The Labour MP, who's standing again, has a lead of just 2,500 votes, and it's a top target for the Tories, who have historical links to the town. After all, this was the building where back in 1834 the father of modern conservatism launched the Tamworth Manifesto. Now that was the first statement of principles ever issued by a political party on the eve of a general election. If only Sir Robert Peel had known then just what he was starting, because we have yet to be wooed by all of this year's party offerings. If these scenes of protest are anything to go by, education had better be top of those party manifestos to pull in many a wavering voter here. This man was on that march a year ago to stop a local school from being replaced with an academy. He isn't impressed with what any of the parties have been saying about education.
In this particular election, it's a case of looking for the least worst option rather than the best, because I don't see any of the main parties really offering anything positive on education. It's more of the same. It's the Labour Party pushing ahead with academy programmes, the Tories pushing ahead with the academies but making it far worse.
There's clearly plenty to fight for in Tamworth. Now, though, to another battlefront. Dudley has its own castle as well, and not one but two marginal constituencies for the parties to fight over. And the Tories have to win seats like this one, Dudley North and Dudley South, if they're to gain a majority at the general election. But they see Dudley South as the easier of the two targets to win, so that's where I'm headed. First stop, Brierley Hill, the old industrial part of this traditionally working-class seat, to meet a man who's been taking the direct approach to finding a job.
Have a CV, if I can leave that with you so you can have a look at it.
Certainly. Made redundant from an insurance firm last month, he's determined not to join the ranks of the long-term unemployed here. More than 6% of people in Dudley South claim job seekers allowance, and this job seeker tells me that any politician who wants his vote needs to address that.
There'll be all these sort of promises, we'll do this, that and the other. Nobody's coming up with the goods. So when I've been sort of walking the streets delivering CVs and there's nothing. Back in the 80s when I did it, I heard from 90 out of every 100. Now I'm hearing from about 5.
Next stop, the local newspaper to hear about tougher times to come. The Borough Council's announced plans to slash £30 million from its budget, and those with their ears to the ground here say spending cuts will sway the way many of their readers vote on polling day.
The way that the economy is, people's concerns about the jobs, people's concerns about the way that the council will be able to deliver their services, then yeah, I think cuts are a big concern to people.
So the battle lines have been drawn. All the parties are wooing us with promises, but which side will win and which issues will tip the balance in the marginals? If politicians knew the answer to that one, there'd be no need for sparring. And that would be no fun at all, would it? Because we like a bit of sparring on the politics show. You join me back at the Dell Stadium where the football's still on, everything to play for here.